This is Dr. Jennifer Jansen from the Zepf Center. You're listening to JJ's Clinical Connection, connecting you to clinical topics. Welcome back to JJ's Clinical Connections. Today we're diving into a critical conversation about crisis care, specifically how we provide these services with empathy and compassion. In our community, crisis care is often the first point of contact for people facing mental health emergencies, substance use crises, or other urgent situations. But far too often, shame, lack of awareness, and systemic barriers may prevent people from getting the help that they truly need. So how do we change that? How do we ensure that care is not just available, but also delivered with compassion, cultural sensitivity, and respect? To help us unpack these questions, I'm joined by Crisis Care Coordinator Teresa Greer. Beyond sharing this history of crisis care at Zepf Center, Teresa will walk us through the importance of empathetic crisis services and the impact that compassionate, trauma-informed care can have on our clients, our staff, and surrounding communities. You won't want to miss this. Teresa, welcome to the studio. Do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yes, my name is Teresa Greer, and I am the Crisis Coordinator of Crisis Care. I've been at Zepf here for 2.5 years.
Great. Well, let's start with some background on Zepf Center. Can you give us a brief overview of the Crisis Care program and what services are offered to our community?
Sure. Crisis Care is 24/7. We are here to serve clients every day, all day long for 24 hours. We offer our listeners to call in and talk about their mental health, what they're going through. We have resources that we talk to our clients about. And also, even if we have a parent or a guardian call, we love to give them resources too because they need help also. So Zepf offers a variety of services that we have at Crisis Care.
Walk us through how community members might reach out to Crisis Care.
First of all, we have our 24-hour hotline, which is 419-904-2273, where they can call 24 hours a day and, just have a conversation. Sometimes they just need to listen to us. They also can come into our building 24 hours, 7 days a week at 2005 Ashland Avenue and have an assessment at our location. Sometimes they just need to come in and talk, about what's going on in their life. And we provide that active listening for any client that wants to come in.
So tell me a little bit about what led you to work in crisis care. What inspired you to take on this role?
I've been waiting for this question. About 15 years ago, my mother was in the sparrow's nest, using drugs and never knew, it was hidden in our family. So after she became clean, she started working at the sparrow's nest. She was the first person as a client to get a job at the sparrow's nest and became a supervisor. So once she retired, she called me one day and was like, "Hey, the sparrow's nest is hiring." I'm like, "What you telling? I don't care about working at the sparrow's nest." When I went to that interview, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready at all. The following day, I got a phone call saying I got the job, and it was unbelievable. But as I went, I learned a lot about crisis because we have a lot of clients that had mental health, and I didn't understand mental health. They don't understand mental health, so how can we understand mental health? So I had to educate myself on how to serve our clients better with mental health and who are going through crisis. And with that, I've been going through different trainings and trying to learn how to better serve our clients.
You play an important role in this work with crisis care. Can you tell us about your role at Zepf Center and how long you've been with the agency?
Yes, ma'am. So my role was a crisis coordinator on second shift. Oh, boy. Daily responsibilities, first of all. Not just the crisis care, but the CSU unit. We make sure all the staff are okay that day. I check in with everybody every day. Working in crisis is a lot. It could be emotional and mentally draining. So we have to make sure we have a lot of self-care when we come to work, before we come to work. But being my role is, I try to lead my staff to be leaders also. We have a wonderful staff who are great with just giving our clients that empathy and compassion. It's so important that we listen to what our clients have to say. And also, we listen with our eyes and not with our ears. It's so important we pay attention to the body language of our clients. Every day, we are making sure we are offering customer service to our clients. It's so important that we have customer service with our clients. It can be us at any time in crisis care. I've even seen, I want to get emotional, a family member come in crisis care. They didn't know I worked there, but it was emotional because I didn't really think they was going through anything. You never know what somebody's going through, and I had to learn that it's okay not to be okay.
Absolutely. And it's why we named it crisis care. That part about empathy is so important. How can crisis care providers, the staff that you oversee, ensure that they are offering services with empathy?
First of all, training, active listening. Always listen to what our clients are saying. We provide a variety of resources to our clients. Somebody can call in and say, hey, I'm having a bad day. I lost somebody. Hey, well, did you know that Zepf have grief classes? So not only that we talk about crisis care, but what does Zepf offer for our clients is so important. And I just sent out an email the other day how we need to engage with our clients. They need us for a reason. That's why they're here. They need us for a reason. So I got a phone call last week about one of our clients who was in a car accident. She was overwhelmed, anxiety, just panicking. So, after we finished talking, breathing exercise, it was okay. I said, well, hey, do you know the Zepf Center offer stress management? Never knew. Never knew about the services we offer at Zepf. And I think Friday she left a message on my machine that she's got to start therapy.
Crisis situations can be intense and overwhelming. Why is it so important to focus on empathy and compassion when working in crisis services?
Oh, because it could be us at any time. We have clients come in as young as 16 years old who are in crisis. Like I said, the active listening is so important that we have to de-escalate the situation. We have clients that come in and are so angry that we have to de-escalate and find out the deeper issue of what is wrong in crisis. Every day I learn something new, really, in crisis about how to serve our clients. The trauma that they go through, it can be emotionally and mentally draining. But we have to realize that, once again, it could be us at any time going through crisis.
Absolutely. I think Zeff's pursuit of trauma-informed training has really helped us shift the needle to ask people, what happened to you? And that is part of the compassion and the caring approach that our staff take when they're serving people in the community, isn't it?
Yes. It's so important that we show empathy and compassion when we're talking to our clients. And that great customer service is so important. I stress that with my staff constantly. Customer service. When we go down and get a client and bringing them up, hey, how are you doing today? What's going on with you today? Asking those important questions because we don't know what that client is going through. It's so important that we engage, even not in just crisis care, but in our whole building, that we engage with our clients and see what's going on with our clients.
Teresa, as a supervisor, you have a whole team of staff that you support during their work shift. You've got licensed clinicians, you've got mental health techs, and you also have peer support specialists. Not everyone naturally knows how to respond with empathy, especially in high-stress situations. What kinds of trainings and resources do you help provide to the staff to help them connect with clients that are in crisis?
It's funny you should ask. So some of the staff who are not clinical, I have SAMHSA. I have offered them, I showed them about those trainings, peer support training, trauma-enforced trainings. If you ask my staff, I'm always asking them to do some kind of training on their own because it's so important that we know we have to serve our guests properly. And I want to reiterate again that sometimes we don't know what they're going through. Our clients, we don't even know what the clients are going through. So we need to educate ourselves on how to better serve them.
What are the topics of some of these trainings that your staff take?
Mental Health 101. I just got through that one online where we talked about different ways how the open-ended questions that we can ask our client and what are their responses and what do we do with those responses. I just got through doing one where a leadership 101, being a servant leader, leading other people to be leaders is also a good one. Another training I just did was a cultural training on how do we reach those individuals who have crises that they can't even come forward. How do we reach people who want the help and scared to ask the help?
Yeah, that's really important. And our conversation today for the month of February is twofold, right? It's about empathy and compassion and Valentine's Day, the link there.
The love.
But it's also February is Black History Month. And so we do want to talk about some of our marginalized communities. Systemic barriers like poverty, discrimination, and stigma often make it hard for people to get the care that they need. How do these challenges affect the quality of care that individuals in our community might receive?
Lack of poverty, insurance, transportation, fear of being judged or mistreated. In the African American community, I think a lot of times we scared to come get the help because we're supposed to not have these problems, especially the African American men. Mistrust of the healthcare system, it could be a big one also. Oh my goodness. I think historical injustice leads to hesitation of coming to get care because they scared. We get clients that we have to be able to build a trust with them. They done told different people or try to get help from different organizations or even, case managers, and they have a lot. They feel like they can't trust nobody. They isolate themselves also.
Absolutely. I think, a lot of people experienced significant isolation during the pandemic, and that alone kind of forced the hand for us to look at what it means to be mentally healthy and mentally well.
Yes.
And isolation is not that.
Yes.
So simply connecting with others and helping them not feel so alone is some of the first steps to that process.
Yes, ma'am. Mental health is real, y'all. It is so real. I experience mental health also. A lot of people don't know, but I experience anxiety and depression and go see a therapist, and it's okay.
Absolutely. And given those challenges, how can the crisis response team build trust within communities that historically have had a lot of mistrust with the healthcare system?
I think education is so important. The services that crisis offer, I think also that we need to educate our staff and keep continuing training for us to serve our clients. I think reaching out to our churches, Black churches, need to be more involved in crisis care. I think a lot of times we talk the talk, but we don't walk the walk.
So we've talked about some of the challenges. Let's talk about solutions. What steps can organizations like Zepf Center take to make crisis services more accessible and inclusive to marginalized groups?
Crisis is, it could be emotionally draining, everyone. Seeing people come in daily who try to commit suicide, who don't have the support of family or loved ones it's hard. Even though as a supervisor, even though working at crisis, you experience a lot of emotions. You try not to take this job home with you, but it's almost impossible. Almost impossible. I think we could still educate our staff more, linking them to mental health resources, safe shelters, words of encouragement, clients feeling like they support it. It's just to have a conversation with a client and engage with that client can make their whole day. If I can tell a story real quick about my mom told me a story about 20 years ago where she said that she was sitting at a table and she don't know why she was sitting at this table, and she tried to leave, but something was bringing her back to that table, and she kept saying, "Why am I sitting at this table?" So all of a sudden, a man came and sat next to her. She know the man from nowhere, clothes all dingy and all that. She didn't think nothing of it. So they just started having a conversation, eating breakfast, just have a conversation. He got up and left my mom a note and said, just because you talked to me today, I will not commit suicide.
Teresa, that's a super powerful story. And it reminds us of the importance of human connection.
Yeah, it does. It's so important that we listen to what people have to say. And it might be minimum to us, but to them it's big, very big.
The crisis care staff do emotionally demanding work. How can healthcare leaders support them in delivering compassionate services while taking care of themselves?
Checking in on us, making sure we okay. It's a lot working in crisis care. Even going out in the community when somebody calls and say, hey, my daughter is going through something. Making sure they're doing self-care. Self-care is so important with our staff. And, continuing training, I think I said that already, continuing training for our staff and our one-on-ones with our staff is so important. Check-ins, that we can check-ins are important too, to say, hey, how was your week? What do you need from me? What can I do for you this week? Sometimes I might need them more than they need me. So
let's talk a little bit about the importance of peer support and lived experience. What role do peer support specialists play in the compassionate care interventions?
Peer support is somebody who's been through lived experience. They can be a testimony about what they've been through, and they can provide hope and positivity, because most of the time when you're in peer support, you've been through some kind of crisis.
Now, I've seen the inside of our call center, and you guys have a tremendous amount of phone numbers and addresses for resources all throughout the community. We have lots of resources here at Zepf, but I know that you also help provide information and education to what's available throughout our community. How do you guys collect all those resources? How have you been able to amass this mountain of information, so to speak?
Going in the community. I'm always in the community. My kids always say, everybody. But just reaching out in the community, when I see something that's going on, I try to be there. So I know the resources that we offer they call me the resource queen here at Zepf. But resources are so important. And in our crisis care right now, we are putting a resource binder together for our staff so they can have at each call station. So if somebody say, hey, I'm looking for housing, I'm looking for food, we can look and say, well, this place offers food this day, this time of day, and at this time. So right now I'm putting together, me and a couple staff members are putting together a resource for our team.
Teresa, what keeps you doing this work?
I love people. I love to see the change in people. Daily, sometimes I ask myself this question, why? Why do you still come to work every day? Because I love people. I love to serve people. I love to see them want to be better. Like I said, every day is a challenge working here in crisis care, but the love of working with people with mental health and seeing them better. A client last week who went from crisis to detox to residential, who been clean for 32 days. I gave him a certificate, and he was like, ain't nobody ever did this for me before. Never. So stuff like that gives me joy to come to work every single day, to see somebody, happy that they doing better and can change.
Teresa, I know that you do a lot to educate yourself and build your knowledge and resource bank. Tell us about some of the community partnerships and coalitions that you are part of.
I'm on the Human Sex Trafficking Committee. I'm on the Food Advisory Committee for Lucas County Board. I go to the Mental Health Board meetings monthly. And I'm on the Suicide Coalition. I just started attending those meetings a couple months ago. As a matter of fact, we had a meeting yesterday where we setting up a fair about suicide coalitions and to educate everybody on what mental health is and how we can't say prevent it because it's going to be there, but how to have them remain stable in our community.
Yeah, we can certainly prevent suicide, which would be our goal, but to support those community members with some resources and to educate the community as a whole, I think is an excellent mission.
I really want to educate our family members about what their family members are going through. You'd be surprised when a mother calls and says, "What can I do to help my daughter?" And she don't even know the resources, and they really appreciate it, even though their daughter is a member of Zepf. Just to even check on them, to let them know that it's going to be okay.
As we wrap up, I want to focus on practical steps. What are some of the simple ways that crisis care staff can incorporate empathy into their daily work?
Active listening, self-care, having an open mind, being non-judgmental are a couple of things that I will suggest.
And beyond professional services, how can communities come together to support individuals in crisis before professional intervention is even needed?
Even if you see somebody on the street, checking in to say, "Hey, are you okay?" can make a difference, y'all. It really can make a difference. And not to be judgmental. Everybody has been through something. So not being judgmental, offering guidance, practicing mindfulness, stay present and see what they're going through. I had maybe 2 years ago, I had a guy who called me and said he about to jump off the bridge, and I stayed on the phone with him until CTI officer came and talked to him. Also, we got to create safe places for our clients who express struggles. Promoting mental health education. It's so important. I tell everybody, when I first got in this field, I did not understand mental health at all. But to continue to educate myself, I'm learning every day something new.
And finally, for someone listening who may be struggling and nervous about reaching out for crisis care, what advice would you give to them?
First of all, it's okay not to be okay. Start with small steps. Reaching out, again, is 419-904-2273. And just being open. I think a lot of people are scared, like I said, because of being judged. But reaching out first just is the first step of coming. And we got wonderful staff who will listen, empathize, and show compassion to anybody who calls our crisis hotline.
Teresa, I want to thank you so much for coming to the studio today and talking with us about crisis care.
I thank you for inviting me. And remember, empathy and compassion is so important in the work that we serve with our clients.
Thank you. Well, that does it for this episode of JJ's Clinical Connections. Thanks to Teresa for sharing her expertise and helping us understand how we can all contribute to more compassionate crisis services in our community. To our listeners, if you or someone you know is in crisis, remember, help is available. Don't be afraid to reach out to our trauma-informed team. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to download and share it. For our latest clinical connections, subscribe to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. For more information about crisis care services and other resources mentioned in this episode, check out our show notes. For more information on Zepf Center, visit us at zepfcenter.org or find us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Until next time, this is Dr. Jennifer Jansen, signing off.